All right, welcome back. Let's finish things up. To start, let's check your answers to those two problems I asked you to try on your own. The first one here, I showed my work using long division. Really, the places to check for mistakes on here is to make sure that you distributed these minus signs. So I at first had a negative 5x here, but minus a negative means to add. And so you'll want to check here to make sure that this line matches up with what you have. Again, distribute that minus sign when you subtract. The final answer is 5x minus 2. The next one, I showed my work using the area model. I chose these methods for no particular reason other than I just wanted to show one of each. Okay. Two things to check for here. Number one, did you remember to rewrite this in standard form with every degree with a coefficient of 0? So I had to add in 0x cubed and 0x squared. Next thing, make sure all of your like terms add up to what you see in the original equation or expression. Okay, so that's what you need to be checking for there. All right, last topic this week is called synthetic division. This is a shorthand method of dividing a polynomial by a binomial. So there are restrictions here. So the first thing is that your divisor can only be a binomial. The next restriction is that binomial has to have a leading coefficient of 1. So you will only see just an x plus something, an x minus something in your divisor. That's the next restriction. Now, if you have a division problem that fulfills those two things, you can use the shorthand method. So we'll read through the steps together and then look at the example of it on the right. So we're going to use this example that says divide 2x squared plus 7x plus 9 by x plus 2. Same rules apply, that it needs to be in standard form with no missing terms. We're good there. Now the first thing we do to set it up is we look at our divisor and we write down the opposite of the constant term in this little bracket off to the right, or off to the left, I'm sorry. Once we write down the opposite of that, then we write down all of our coefficients next. So the coefficients of our dividend are 2, 7, and 9. That's where these numbers come from, 2, 7, and 9. Then we drop down the 2. Now we're going to go through a process of multiply, subtract, multiply, subtract. So we're going to multiply 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4, or I'm sorry, not subtract, add. And then we're going to add 7 plus negative 4 to get 3. Now repeat the process. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. Add 9 and negative 6, and we get an answer of 3. The very last number you get is going to be your remainder. So if you get a 0 there, the remainder is 0. And then the other numbers that you get are coefficients of your quotient. So this is our remainder right here, okay? Which means then I have 2 numbers left, and with 2 numbers left, I have a 2x plus 3. Notice the number next to the remainder is always a constant term. The number before that is an x term. The number before that is x squared, because we have to withhold our standard form. All right, let's try a few together. I know it might look a little confusing at first, but it's pretty quick to get the hang of. Okay, first thing I'm going to look at is my dividend in standard form with no missing terms. Yes. All right, then I'm ready to just go ahead and set this up. I'm going to write the opposite of the constant term of my divisor in this bracket. So that's a positive 6. And now I'm going to write down my coefficients. And remember, when you don't see a number in the front, it's a 1 that's hiding. So 1, -3, -18. Bring down the 1. And now we're going to start that pattern of multiply, add, multiply, add. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus -3 is 3. 3 times 6 is 18. 18 plus -18 is 0. The remainder is 0. And the other two numbers are the coefficient of my solution. My solution is always 1 degree less than my original dividend, or you can always know that the first term is going to be constant, the next term is going to be x. So to write my answer, I would write 1x, or I can just write x plus 3. That's the solution. We'll try 2 more together. And I think I'm going to need to write smaller or do some erasing. I'm going to start by just switching colors. Okay, let's check. I have exponents of 4, 3. I'm missing a squared, so I have to put a 0x squared in there. 1, nope. Okay. So now I'm ready to get set up here. I'm going to use the opposite of a positive 2, which is a -2. Now I'm going to write out my coefficients. 3, -1, 0, 5, -1. Bring down that 3. Start by multiplying. 3 times -2 is -6. -6 plus -1 is -7. -7 times -2 is +14, plus 0 is 14. -2 plus 14 is, or I'm sorry, times 14 would be -28. 5 plus -28 is -23. -3 times -2 would be a +46. Minus 1 would be a +45. So 45 is our remainder. And remember, this will be our constant term, x squared, x cubed. Our quotient is always 1 degree less than the largest degree of our dividend. So now I'm going to write out my answer. I would write it as 3x cubed minus 7x squared plus 14x minus 23 plus 45 all over x plus 2. Okay, let's look at one more because it is a little bit different. What's different about it is I see a fraction. And I'm not afraid of fractions, and this still withholds my conditions for synthetic division. I have a polynomial being divided by a binomial, and the binomial has a 1x as its first term. So I can use synthetic division. All right. We have standard form, x squared x constant. I can just set this up right away. So I'm going to use the opposite of -1/3, which is +1/3. Write down my coefficients, 3, 9, -2. Bring down my 3. Oh, this is nice. I have multiples of 3 here. So 3 times 1/3, or 1/3 of 3 is 1. Add those together and I get 10. Well, darn. That didn't last long, did it? All right. 10 times 1/3 is 10/3. Add these two together. So I'm going to have to rewrite my -2 with a common denominator. So to get a denominator of 3, I need to multiply top and bottom by 3. This -2 would be a -6/3. Add these two together. 10 minus 6 is 4. So this is 4/3. That's my remainder. And I can now write out my answer as 3x plus 10 plus 4/3 over x minus 1/3. We're going to be able to leave our answer like this for right now, but don't worry. Third quarter, we'll get into simplifying this a little bit nicer so we don't have a fraction and a fraction. So that's something you can look forward to for our second semester. Okay, so to summarize, I want you to think about a problem that you cannot solve using synthetic division, but you can solve using long division or the area model. That's right. It would be a problem that's being divided by, say, a 2x plus 1 because it has that coefficient in front of the x. Synthetic division can only be used if the coefficient in front of that x is a 1. Here's your assignment for the week. Notice it's just the even problems. So make sure you organize your time well this week. We're very close to the end of the quarter. Be sure you're reaching out to me if you need help through office hours or just emailing. And have a good week. I look forward to seeing you in class.